Which one you want? Okay. Let me get out this base.
Really started off and then just introduce you.
So tell us how you want to be introduced.
John Foster Tennis with Chris Hernandez and Global Sports Network.
John Foster Tennis. Welcome once again to Athletes United Experience on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. I'm your host, Big Mel, and as always, we're hosted by one of the most delightful young men you ever want to meet. He's a former professional athlete like myself. We refer to him as Big Sonny because he's my own, and his name is Lorenzo Johnson. Say hello to the fans,
Hello,
big
hello,
fella.
hello. Welcome.
We're here this morning, my friend, in the midst of the bubble closeout possibility. LeBron, AD. What do you think, my man? What do you think?
The combination with those two.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, you can't lose with that combination, man. I mean,
Can you do it this evening?
I hate to say it, but I think it's over.
Oh my
After
God!
that, man.
Oh my
I
God!
hate to say that, but I think it's over. I mean, personally, I like a more competitive series where I love Game 7.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Unfortunately,
You don't think so, huh?
I don't think we're gonna see.
My God. Well, you know, the other night, Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, as they refer to him as, had a most extraordinary game.
Yeah.
The game of his life. And I think of all the people on Miami's side, he was probably the most worried. Because I'm sure he's thinking, if it takes that kind of effort for me, we may as well go home now.
Yeah. Big question there is, can he sustain that kind of effort? You know what I mean?
That's it.
That's it. He's a great player. However, I don't think he's that number one option.
Well, there's a thin line between great and immortal. You know, there's only a few that we may, and the names come right out of your head when you're talking about Mount Olympus. When you're talking about the very pantheon of greatness. Yeah. You're talking basketball, Will Chamberlain comes right up, Bill Russell comes right up, Kareem comes right up, obviously Magic and guys like Bird, and come on, man, and Oscar and these names, man, Michael, Kobe, give me a break. But there's a lot of really, really good basketball players. The skill level is real high. They can do things that probably guys my age dreamed about. But listen, LeBron has committed some so-called first that we take for granted. Who knew a few years ago that no one had ever led both teams in every statistical category in the final? That's outrageous, particularly when you consider that this Golden State team at the time was considered the greatest, at least statistically, the greatest NBA team of all times. 73-9. They lost one game every 9 times. They hadn't lost 3 games in a row all year. And they get up on this Cleveland team 3-1 and lose 3 in a row. Mercy. LeBron outscored the leading scorer in the NBA during that final. Right. Steph Curry. LeBron out-rebounded the bigs, blocked more shots than the bigs, and dished out more assists than the little nimble guards and made more steals than the little quick guards. I guess he failed to sell popcorn and Coca-Cola, but that was about all he did do.
You're right.
My God.
Special guy. I mean, that type of talent comes.
And then the following year, he follows that up with another first. Who knew that no one had ever led or had averaged a triple-double during the final? I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Surely Magic had done that. Surely Bird had done that.
Oscar Robertson.
Oscar, come on.
Wow.
Surely. Nope. That was a first, my friend. The other week when he scored X number of points in the Western Division closeout, no one his age had ever scored that many points in a division final. A first. So if he pulls this off tonight, or in any night, and they win this thing, and he has effectively led 3 teams to a world championship. 3 different teams, very vastly different teams.
Greatness.
He has to be in that GOAT conversation. I don't know who the GOAT is. I wouldn't want to be as forthright or that willing, but he has to be in that conversation.
Definitely. I would concur with you.
What do you think?
Definitely in the conversation.
Huh.
However, it always kind of goes back to the number of rings and that kind of thing.
Oh,
I know
man.
that we can talk about that for days, right?
It goes on and
Mike
on.
got 6,
You got 6?
This will be number 4, for LeBron. Plus, LeBron's playing at a very high level. And
Yes, he is.
what is he, 35, 34?
Sports-wise, he's around 100, somewhere in that neighborhood. When you're talking sports. A young man in sports nowadays, 19, 20 years old.
Right.
But it's outrageous. You're right. He takes great care of his body. He's attentive to detail, obviously. I've been hearing rumors that he spends upwards of a couple $1 million a year managing his health and fitness. And that's good money. If it takes $2 million to make another 50, that's good money.
That's
so why is
investment?
investment?
Yourself, right?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we have a young man we want to speak to this morning, who is a guru of sorts when it comes to various idioms of sports. Man, he's just a wealth of knowledge, a potpourri, they say, of information. His name is John Foster of the John Foster Tennis and Global Sports Network with Chris Hernandez. And let's welcome him to the platform this morning, can we?
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Foster, if you will. Come aboard.
Come on board.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right over here, I guess. Good to be here.
Absolutely.
Good
Happy
guys.
this morning.
Great to have you.
Good. All right. Well, there's a little background you guys don't know. I said John Foster Tennis, but I grew up playing football and baseball, my two favorite sports. But I was too small for football. I quarterbacked and then I pitched and caught. 6-7 years of baseball, only about 3 years of football, 3-4 years of football, Corey League. But I was a tough little kid, 145 pounds, 80 pounds when I was 15 years old, or 13. And at 15, I boxed from 13 to 15 and did Junior Olympics boxing.
Is that right?
Went to Green Bay, Wisconsin, met Bart Starr in Lambeau Field, representing Florida in the Junior Olympics.
How about that?
But I don't like to fight, so I gave up boxing. My dad goes, how about tennis? And I became a tennis player at that point.
Huh.
So I've had the opportunity to do some things.
Well, as the old saying goes, you went to a boxing match and a football game broke out.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Now we're in the middle of this NBA final, and we're going to talk about that. And but right here locally at home, we've had kind of an interesting development over at Reliance Stadium. What do you think?
Well, I think they had to do it. I think it was a must. I mean, and I think it came to the surprise of everybody that the owner, Cal, finally he pulled the trigger on a Monday afternoon. I was more shocked. How about you?
I was.
Yeah. All of a sudden, hey, he's gone. And it's like, I found myself, like everybody else, kind of rooting to lose, because I knew that was a problem. I mean, we talk sports all the time. I on radio, I have 2 or 3 other shows, a podcast with Chris Fernandez, and then we do the show prior to you guys usually. We're probably going to do it after you guys today, talking sports, Rockets like you, Astros, and the Texans. And they really had a problem with the community not connecting with the team. And that's a problem. Like J.J. Watt even said it. And you know what? The players did, there was, in this last game, the word's out, sources say, that they had a problem with, there was players jumping ship.
How about that?
Did you hear that at all? Did you hear that at all? Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't working right. So prior to JJ coming out and saying, hey, there's got to be changes. I'm working hard, I'm doing this, but there's got to be changes. So, yeah, there was players that weren't on board with the Bill O'Brien idea anymore, and there was a few arguments going on. He had lost the locker room.
Almost a minute. That's it.
Once you lose the locker room, you got to go.
That's key right there.
Yeah, great point there.
Yeah.
Dr. Harry Edwards has been a pioneer in a lot of sports, the sociological idea of sports. Says that the frontier right now in sports, the new frontier, is cultural management of locker rooms. It couldn't be more accurate. Games are won and lost in the locker room. Seasons are won and lost in the locker room. That head coach's livelihood depends on the collegiality of that locker room. Yes, and so you're absolutely right about that. You make a good point about losing the locker room.
There's already talk, like with the Heat, how, or not the Heat, I'm from Miami sometimes. Well, look at the Heat. What makes the Heat is their team. They gel together, and now it's just proven what the coach has done down there. I mean, he had LeBron and Dwayne Wade and everybody as well. The coach isn't doing anything. He did this, him and Pat Riley. Pat Riley's one of those geniuses, like Bill Parcells. He's one of those people that are just up there, like Don Shula. But the thing about picking the Rockets coach, and you guys are basketball guys, that's, I never played, I've done enough. I follow it, but in picking Harden and Westbrook, whoever they bring in, that is somebody that has to get along with those two guys and create a team. Unless he's going to get rid of one of them or make a new move. There you go. Well, you
right.
he's on Mr. Fernandez.
Right.
I don't know. You guys know basketball better than me, so I'd like to hear that
Sonny's
one.
a lot closer to it than I am.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't have a problem if they got rid of
one
of those
really?
guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem.
I'm surprised to hear you guys say that.
Right.
All right.
Chemistry means a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of talent in that squad.
Right.
And somehow it didn't, it hadn't molded. It melded the way we thought it would. And getting rid of the big. What was that all about, Sonny? They got rid of the big fella.
I wouldn't. I would have never got rid of him personally.
Wow.
I mean, I'm still kind of upset about getting rid of Chris Paul, though.
Yes. I hadn't gotten over that.
Yeah, I haven't got over that yet. So I was a big Chris Paul fan, and when they got rid of him, I thought he was key to the development of the young big that you were referring to. I thought he was coming along. I mean, he still was kind of raw, but CP is a great player, and the mark of a great player, they make those around him better.
Yes. John, what do you think about
He's a leader. I agree. Not only that, he's a leader. He's somebody that can, and that's where, at least at first, if I'm not mistaken, he was helping Harden develop.
Yes, he was.
And become good. And then somewhere there was a disconnect, and then it went south. Maybe Harden, I don't know. You guys might have an insight on that. Harden thought more of himself than that, or somehow there was something disconnecting.
The all famous disconnect.
Yeah.
All right. 14 minutes after hour, we're sitting there talking with John Foster, the John Foster Tennis and Global Sports Network with Chris Hernandez, and we'll be right back in a moment.
This is former Rocket Robert Reed.
This is Mel Jewell of Athletes United.
And we want to talk to you about our new program and podcast. We're talking about former athletes who are doing a lot of things in the community.
Various athletes in various sports, swimming, track, soccer, football, baseball, you name it.
Former and current athletes here in the greater Houston area.
All promoting wellness, health, all promoting that which makes us all better.
Of Edge Radio, truth still matters.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay.
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
And we're back. The Athletes United Experience with Big Sonny and myself, Big Mel, and we have a guest here today that we're delighted with, John Foster Tennis and Global Sports Network with Chris Hernandez. Guys, as we broke, we were discussing, chemistry and the things that make teams perform and the things that make teams somehow malfunction. We lost a good player here in CP3 from the Rockets. We lost a big, Sonny was referring to. What did we do, guys? Small ball didn't work. What did we do?
I mean, I've never been a fan of the small ball. I'm not sure what D'Antoni was thinking with that. I mean, being a big, I'm like, small ball, man, I'm going to the block, and I want you to feed me, Seymour. We're going to eat all night. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I'm not a fan of that small ball stuff. It ain't going to work, man. That doesn't work. I mean, I know the game has changed somewhat. You know what I mean? A lot of people seem to think it's more athletic these days, but from your era, we've had athletes, man. I hate to see guys discredit the likes of Wilt Chamberlain. Man, I saw a stat line on Facebook the other day. This guy had double figures in like 5 categories.
Think about it.
And people talking about he was, playing against little small sister. Man, he had like 54 points, something crazy. You know what I'm talking about. You've probably seen the stat line I'm talking
Absolutely.
about. Come on, man. I don't care if you're playing against a janitor. Come on, man. Those are the numbers, man.
There was this narrative that Wilt Chamberlain was like 9'11", right? He weighed 900 pounds, and the tallest guy he ever played against was Muggsy Bogues, And no, Chamberlain coming to that league, man, 7'1", probably 235, 240. That's not overly massive.
Right.
And there's a lot of guys, 6'11", 7 foot around. They weren't quite the athletes that he were. They weren't quite as athletic as he was.
Right.
He was dominant because of his skill level.
Yeah.
I mean, the man was a 400 runner.
Was he?
400 level runner at University of Kansas. He comes out with no practice and high jump, 6'9". Give me a break, man.
I have a question. It was they talk about how strong he was. It was something crazy. What did he bench?
500.
500? 500 pounds?
500.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh.
Several times.
Several times. That wasn't his max. That's what he worked out with it.
Hey, come on, that's a topic in itself right there.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So there were athletes back in those times, man.
Of course, man.
He just happened to be way ahead of his time.
Right.
I mean, when did he last touch a basketball in the 70s, early 70s?
Yeah.
And
right.
Still hold a litany of records in the NBA right
now.
Yeah. I mean, just lots of scoring offensive records.
Wasn't it Wilt that did a 100-point game?
Yes. In the NBA.
Who's going to do that again?
No one. And here's an anecdote.
No.
Here's an anecdote about that. They played the same team a couple of nights later, which happened to be the New York Knicks. My favorite. I hate to admit that. And his defender that night said he did a much better job than Wilt. He held him to 78 that night.
Did you say he held him to 78?
Yeah.
Oh my God, 78.
Cut him down.
Held him down, cut him down tonight. He didn't get that 100-point game again.
Man.
Oh, that's good.
Come on, man. That's incredible,
man. I understand he was late to that game.
Yeah.
He caught a charter jet to that game in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now listen, here's the irony. That gymnasium, wherever it was, only holds so many people. Small gymnasium.
Yeah.
Right.
And wasn't televised. But Wilt said he probably had met at least 10,000 people who said they were at that game. And the gym held about 1,500 people.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's too bad no record of that game. That's just too
Wow.
bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I said would happen with baseball this year, or with any sport, because even with basketball, we're going to find out who the real baseball players are, who the guys are that are like Wilt Chamberlain, because like Altuve, with it cut like this, he can't go in the video room, he can't do this. He's got a routine done. Some pro athletes need to do this and this and this and this and this. And there's guys like Wilt Chamberlain, they show up late and everything, and they go hoop it up.
I mean, get off the plane. You know, there's a thing called jet lag, right? I mean, I had to take some time to recover from that. I know.
And if you read his book, he engaged in some extracurricular activities on his way to that game.
That's a whole nother topic.
That's why he played well. What do you mean? That's why he had the game he did.
Really?
My God, it's outrageous. But you're right. Guys like Altuve and what's the big hit? Springer.
Yeah, Springer, Bregman. Yeah, but I think Bregman, Altuve's proven out. Although I think what happened with Altuve is a mental thing. I think it got to him mentally that, hey, we're cheaters. which I have my own view on that. We can
Yeah,
we can talk. Okay, they haven't come out with what New York was doing yet.
Right.
And
right.
Altuve was one of the guys I believe was going, listen, how would you like to do this? You're at bat, and they bang the trash cans, and they're doing it, and you told them you don't want it, and then they bang it, and so then you know this is coming, and they throw the opposite thing. You know what? Just shut up. Get out of my ear, man. I need to focus here on what I'm doing.
You know what? The pitcher can tell me when he's getting ready to throw.
Right.
And I'm still not going to be able to hit a 90-mile-an-hour curveball. I'm just not going to be able to hit. You got to see it.
Yeah.
You got to feel it. And I know you got to connect, baby.
Right.
Better than those trash cans can do.
Absolutely.
And when the trash cans throw you off, now you're like, now I got to listen to this, and I'm still trying to do what I usually do. And see, oh, his foot's wrong. There, oh, it's coming. I know what's coming. You don't have to tell me.
Right.
And then you tell me wrong. And see, there's where my disconnect with all that came, because okay, it's like you play a game. We go play a game, and we're playing the game, and you know what I'm doing, and I know what you're doing. So you're trying to throw me off, and I'm throwing you off, and that's basically what's happening. They don't know how I'm doing it, but they know something's going on. So they're mixing up the signals, and we're doing this, and then I win the game, and then then somebody says, "Hey, he's cheating," and then you go, "Oh my gosh, you were cheating. You're terrible. Shame on you." Why don't you just say, "Look, we know what's going on."
Let me ask you a question. It's always mystified me, and I don't know why. A left-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask the question first. What is it a right-handed pitcher can do that a left-handed pitcher can't do by MLB rules?
That's a question for you.
The whole thing. Mr. Fernandez played a lot more baseball than me. This is sight, okay? He's over there doing it. All right, but here's what.
A left-handed pitcher can't fake to third base. He got to go to third base. He can't fake. Because if he does, it's what, Mr. Hernandez?
It's a balk.
A balk. How though? How so? Why is it? I'm trying to imagine.
I pitched for like 6-7 years, but I was not at that level.
Yes,
I never played baseball.
if you got a man on third dancing,
Right.
you can't fake him if you're a left-handed pitcher. You've got to go to third base. I guess because you bring your toe off the mound or off the rubber, somehow you're stepping off.
Yeah, you got to come off, and then it's a harder throw. Although maybe they could come up with, what I heard. I grew up a Cincinnati Reds fan. This is a good story. And Johnny Bench was my favorite guy. I'd get up, I'd read the paper, how many home runs he had. Dave Concepcion, Joe Morgan. Man, that was I could tell you. I'd get up the Big Red Machine, and my grandmother used to bet me she'd take the Orioles. I knew she was just trying to get us going, me and my brother. So anyhow, but I heard Johnny Bench used to catch the ball, and if I wasn't pitching, I was catching, and he'd take it. But he's a big guy, and he'd throw it down the first base like this.
Just like that?
Like this. Like, because you don't have time to turn. He could just go, wham. Which, you'd be in trouble running off that first base if he didn't have to stand up and throw it, and he can arm it.
We had a luminary to pass away, Big Gibby, Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson, right?
Gibson.
I remember Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson was great. He was one of the best of the best.
Pitchers, man, with
Yep.
the St. Louis Cardinals when I was a kid.
Used to hate him. No.
I bet you did.
Didn't like Bob Gibson.
Spent all of his 17 seasons with the Cardinals.
2 minutes.
And he was intimidating. He didn't play. You didn't dig in against Gibby. You walked up to the mound and you got set and got ready. You didn't go up. You didn't dare dig in.
He'd be.
You put it right here. You put it right here.
Wow.
Oh
Listen,
yeah.
Listen, the last pitch. This is a strange anecdote. The last pitch he ever threw was a major league player in the year of his retirement. Went for a grand slam. Some
Really? The last pitch he ever. Bob Gibson.
Ever threw went for
Wow.
a grand slam.
Ooh.
Now for Gibby, that's hard to digest.
Yeah.
So 10 years later, in the old timers game in Yankee Stadium during the All-Star break, that guy's on another team, comes up to bat, and Gibby hits it.
Oh no!
Really?
Really?
And that was so Bob Gibson. That was so appropriate. Everybody laughed because they knew it was coming. He hadn't got over that yet.
Wow.
That's how competitive he was, and that's how competitive those guys.
Those guys are. When you guys know this. You played for the Rockets, and and I've been there where people don't realize I can get in a competitive mode. You don't want to see me in that competitive mode. And now coaching and everything, and somebody be pushing me or beating me or sometimes I know I don't have it, and it's kind of like you go, dude, you don't know what you're looking at. You know, you don't know. You know, and you just either you know you don't have it, and you're not in that gear, but you have that gear that they don't even know about.
No.
Several years,
comprehend that.
several years after the Ryan Express had retired,
Yeah.
he's playing in a co-ed, sort of middle pitch softball game. You know, one of these kind of games. His wife's on the other team, and he dusts her off. That's like, what are you doing, man? I had no choice. She dug in on me.
That's right. Yeah.
That's competitiveness.
See, I tell you, I played back in '86 at Westside. We play a pro celebrity, and we got a guy going. Well, the one amateur was going, so I went after him. That's the only way I could back him off. I was, dude, we ain't playing games here. You ain't hitting no more volleys, man. Now I got him off the net. Now it's game over.
My. I think you hear so many stories about these guys, but luminaries like Gibby, I mean, they made a difference.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball changed the height of the mound as a result of Gibby.
Oh, really? I didn't know that
Oh,
one.
my God.
You know some history here.
You pitched 9 innings.
Is he? Yeah, he knows his history. Yeah, I like
Pitched
that.
9. There was no short relief, long relief. If you were going well, you pitched 9. And he
Right.
intended to pitch
Right.
9. And he stood up against Murderer's Row. Listen, New York Yankees. Elston Howard, Tom Tresh, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris.
Ooh.
Come on, Joe Pepitone. Come on.
Yeah.
Peter
Lou Gehrig.
Boyer, Peter
Yeah.
Boyer. Bob Gibson stood up on that mound in
And-
old Yankee Stadium with the sun on the top of his forehead. like
Yeah.
this. And he
And
murdered.
heaving it.
He mowed them down one by one by one with fastballs and cutters.
Wow.
Yes. And again, you didn't dare dig in on him because he put it right
He
here.
was,
baby,
there you
right
go,
under your
Ray.
chin.
Back you off the plate.
Yes. So we grow up with stories like that, and Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and Uncle Willie Mays.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
This is the-
Roberto Clemente, one of my
Clemente.
favorite.
Come on.
Oh my gosh.
this is-
I was upset when he died. And I don't know why that really affected me back in the day. I guess like Kobe affected a lot of you guys, you know. But when I was a little kid, you know, I was a Reds fan, but the Willie Mays and Roberto Clemente, and who was his side part? There was Willie Clemente.
Willie Stargell.
Willie Stargell was one of my favorite, you know. And him, even though I didn't like those guys because they would beat the Reds sometimes, you know. But
Now,
I liked them. You know.
viewers will note that John and I have a little gray in our beards here.
Yeah.
Hey, this is going good, guys. We're gonna have to take a break, though.
Yeah, we got a break. All right, we're going.
When people stop talking to each other, society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
This is former Rocket Robert Reed,
This is Mel Jewell of Athletes Unite.
and we want to talk to you about our new program and podcast. We're talking about former athletes who are doing a lot of things in the community.
Various athletes in various sports: swimming, track, soccer, football, baseball, you name it.
Former and current athletes here in the greater Houston area.
All promoting wellness, health, all promoting that which makes us all better.
Of Edge Radio, truth still matters.
And we're back with the Athletes United Experience on the Edge Radio Network with truth
Still matters.
We're here talking with Don Foster of the Tennis and Global Sports Network, Chris Hernandez. Sonny, we were throwing out some names and some histories
that I am not aware of.
Would be foreign to you guys from the halcyon days of sports and baseball, you know, when baseball was baseball, if you will.
Right.
And as they made it so clear in this one particular movie, there's no crying in baseball.
There's no crying in
There's
baseball.
no crying in baseball.
I use that in tennis and a few other sports.
Understood. You're right.
Speaking of baseball, them Stros, baby.
Oh, baby, come on.
We're
Yeah.
in the LCS, and
Yes,
I
sir.
think there's a good possibility we could take out either one of those other.
And I want the Yankees to win. I don't know. How about you guys? I want to play the Yankees. You know, if you're going to beat somebody I want to beat, which, you know what, I really didn't think that they would win that other game. Because, you know, with the manager, Boone, he put in their fourth game starter to close out the second game and made a mistake because they lost it.
Yes.
And you don't want to do that. It's like they're playing with cards.
Wow.
And Tampa Bay is a good team.
Yeah.
People don't realize that they've been good for a long time. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That Stros team that won it in 2017.
17. Yeah.
They did something that's never been done before in postseason. It was a first.
Yeah.
No one has ever beat a 100-game winning Sox team, a 100-game winning Yankee team, 100-game winning Dodger team in the same postseason.
That's great.
That
And
was a first.
like you said, I thought you were going to go L.A., beat the history teams.
Yes.
Right.
L.A., Yankees, and Dodgers.
Right.
All in the same to go. I mean, how do you not make it more
No one's
perfect?
ever done that, period.
Right.
Let's known some 100-game winning teams from
Right.
those cities.
Now, here's something for you.
Uh-huh.
Last year, we were breaking all the records, and this is what we're doing now. We had the most home this and that. We had all the records. These guys are killers, the Astros. So last year when there was no trash cans, they were breaking all the hitting records. Although they fell short in the last 3 games of the World Series and couldn't hit the ball. It happens. That's sports. That's why you play the game. But so now they're finally showing up again. I mean, this is an all-time, and that's why it's important to do something this year. They won't be together next year. They're going to lose somebody, whether it's Correa or
Too money.
yeah, because unless they decide to stay together, that would be so cool.
It would be.
Guys, try to stay together. That would be, because they're going to have to
Very
make
done.
a choice.
Stay together.
Stay together. They're going to have to make a choice between Springer and Correa. Who are you gonna?
Tough choice.
Unless, and maybe they could lose both of them because they're going to offer them what, $300 million apiece?
Mercy.
Or they go, well, you know what? I don't need $300 million. I'll do it for 120 and stay here, and he'll do it for 120. And then you stay together if you got that kind of.
They got a deal with Altuve. He signed a deal, if you ask me.
And Bregman too.
Bregman as well.
Yeah.
Signed a deal.
A nice
That's
deal.
on the fly.
So if they want to do that on both ends there, you know what? Then we got a dynasty. Then we can do what Atlanta did when we get some pitching back. Because this year we're going to have to get through the Yankees or whoever without
a dynasty. You sure you want to use that word?
without big. Well, yeah, without big. Because we'll get pitching next year. Right now we've lost our best pitcher and the best closer, and we're still where we're at.
What an odd game.
And
Odd game.
Greinke's out right now.
Again.
Who would Greinke's out now? I believe Greinke might have Tommy John. So we lost 2 guys, and we're in the ACL. That's championship, American League. And if Greinke's out, so we got, and we're running on rookies, and we might do it. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
With kind of a hobbled bullpen, having to pin down some youngsters, you win it all.
Awesome.
I'm for
That's
it.
tough without
I'm for
experience.
it.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It's going to
We
be
can
tough.
do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm voting.
Gotta
We're
believe,
voting.
huh?
We're voting. You gotta believe.
That is
Yeah.
an odd game. I was looking at some statistics the other night. You can throw, as a pitcher, a 27 hitter. 27 hitter. Shutout. Does that even seem arithmetically possible statistically? You can put
Yeah.
the first 3 guys on base every inning and then strike out the rest. You
Right.
can also throw a 27 hitter, a 27 shutout, 27 strikeout.
That's amazing.
Statistically possible.
That's
That's
amazing.
outrageous. You can throw a no-hitter and lose.
How's that?
No-hitter and
Yeah.
lose. You can walk a guy
Right.
and he can come in on error. Or you can steal his way to third and steal home.
Mhm.
Nobody's hit the ball yet. Nobody's hit safely off you yet. And you lose 1-0 possible. The other guy's throwing a shutout, you throwing a no-hitter.
Wow. You know,
Strange.
that's kind of like in tennis. You can kind of do the same thing. I watched at River Oaks. Steve Bryan, who's a Texan, and Jeff Tarango, a friend of mine. Jeff Tarango just plays Agassi at the Miami Open, which is just before the River Oaks tournament, which is now the U.S. Clay Court Championships. Comes to River Oaks. I'd known Jeff for a couple of years, pick him up at the airport. We come in. He just got done losing to Andre Agassi in the Miami Open, which is a pretty darn big tournament nowadays. I know it from when it was nothing. Well, anyhow, loses to Agassi in the semifinals. He's near retirement. He's more of a doubles player, but he's playing his best singles, and he's getting ready to retire in about the next 2 years. He did retire. And he comes out there, and he plays Steve Bryan, who's been retired from the tennis tour for a year. So he's not even playing pro. He got about 30 in the world, you know. So anyhow, a good player, but he's retired. Everybody knows it. And Steve Bryan proceeds to beat him 7-6, 6-7, 7-6, all tiebreakers. Nobody breaks serve.
Okay.
And Jeff, I know he's going crazy because like this, he knows the guy's not playing. The guy can't keep this up. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's retired, to be like going to play ball with somebody, he hasn't been in the NBA for a year, and he's schooling you out there. You're going imano, and it's like, come on, dude. You know, you got to get tired or not be able to make these shots. You haven't been doing it for a year.
Right.
And he won the match. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I hear so much about the difference in grass and clay.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
Big difference. Now you're going from grass to grass is slick. Think about playing on grass. I love grass. I was a big serve and volleyer. So I 1-2. I want to finish points, and I like to go to the net. So grass is real slick. The ball's going to slide, so you're going to hit the ball lower. Clay, it digs in and jumps up. So on clay, you get longer. Man, you really need a lot more tools. You can't just serve big and come in and finish. You got to serve. He's going to hit it back. You got to hit it back. You got to work it. You know, it goes a long time. So you could look at those 4 or 5 hour matches.
How do you last that long?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? There's been people, this is a good story. Yeah, they go to Europe. You know, they want to be a pro tennis player. They go to Europe for a while. They get in one of those 3-4 hour matches, and it's just grueling. They go, that's it. I'm going to go be a lawyer. I'm done. I'm not going to do this for a living. I can't walk right now. I got to go in the hot tub, and, and I got to play tomorrow. It's not happening.
As it is in so many other sports, have you seen a transition with the athletes? I mean, they better train now. Or
it's unbelievable. I'll tell you the moment that I recognized this for me, and I'd like to hear where when Aaron Rodgers backs up the pass. This is when he won the Super Bowl, and the guy's sprinting like he's running a track meet down that post that Bob Greasy used to throw to Paul Warfield, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he throws it like a dart 60 yards across the field, not a lob, and he catches it on a dead run, and he's off to the races. And I'm like, holy. Wow. You know what that looked like 40 years ago?
What?
It looked like Bob Hayes, the bomb, you know. And Roger saw that. It's not a dart across the field, and while you're doing the track meet, you go.
And you're telling me they have that same kind of parallel in tennis nowadays?
Nowadays, they slide on hard courts. I looked at kids. This is about 8-10 years ago. I'm teaching, and I work with pro players. I work with some now. I'm going to get back in the pro game. But 10 years ago, I used to go and I was traveling with the Russian girl, I'd watch some of the kids where I was training at the academy that were just pretty good juniors. And I was a world-class athlete. I got to pro level. That's, never was able to do what I wanted to do, but I reached it, where people were moving in slow motion. And I'm watching these kids that aren't a pro level, and I'm going, he's hitting it harder and faster. I said, well, he's faster, he hits it harder, and he's stronger than I am. And he's not even a pro athlete. And I never used to, in my day, I never looked at Jimmy Connors before. I went, I could go hit, I'll take you out, man. But here I was going, I'll never forget when I went from Cincinnati with my pro player to New Haven, Connecticut, and then you go U.S. Open. We were in Cincinnati. We should have beat Wickmeyer with Bardina, which he was 70 in the world. Wickmeyer was 69 in the world. She's been top 10 in the world recently from Canada. And we're sitting there at Cincinnati, and I'm watching her play, and I don't know, she takes a bathroom break when she's winning. You pissing and then before you leave the court, So anyhow, she loses the match. Why'd you take a break? Well, we always did, me and my dad. Not when you're winning.
Right. Break your momentum, right?
Break the momentum. So I go to New Haven, Connecticut. You guys will like this. So I'm in New Haven, Connecticut, and I hear pop, 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 and I'm like, what the heck? And I go on the hard courts, and I listen, and these guys are hitting the ball. And I mean, I worked at River Oaks for years, and I saw pros hit it all the time, but clay's a different game. You can't just pop it like that. These guys are hitting the ball absolutely as hard as they possibly, like ram. And I was taken back. I just went, you're
with
kidding.
accuracy.
Oh yeah. And like you're gonna kill somebody, And have you guys had that?
Well,
in basketball, were we?
I like tennis. I remember when I was in high school, going into my senior year, and my uncle took me out to practice with me doing tennis, and it helped me improve my lateral movement. I think it's one of the best kept secrets of basketball things. Really? Yeah.
I got a good story off of that one. Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe was one of the top players in the world, right? But he wasn't number one, but he was top 10. You guess how he became number one? One day he was out in the fields working out, and he sees this guy running, and he jumps up out of this pit, like 6 feet. And Arthur goes, oh, he says, the guy was a track star. I forget his name. I should know his name. And he goes, man, that's, and they became friends. And he was an Olympic track runner. Wow. And so he would go watch Arthur play his tennis, and Arthur go watch him, in the Olympics and stuff, trials and stuff. And so he watching Arthur play tennis. He says, man, you don't know how to move. I got to teach you how to run. Teaches him how to run. Guess what? Arthur Ashe was a true number one player in the world. When he beat Jimmy Connors, he became. Absolutely. But without this guy teaching him how to move correctly, no.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It made the difference for him.
Hey, with that note, guys, we're ready to go into break. Go ahead.
We'll be back in a moment.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Between the ages of 0 and 5, a child's mind is very impressionable. Researchers call it the theta brainwave. This low frequency is the state of consciousness between the conscious and subconscious worlds. In this state, the mind is capable of deep and profound learning, healing, and growth.
There is a subconscious loop that's created during these early years. Who you believe you are has been downloaded based on experiences that you have had. A bad experience could create fears and limitations. Do you love who you are? Do you believe in yourself? The reality is that you can't control your childhood. All you can do is interpret it. You can choose to see your good and your value. Try this experiment. Project forward. See yourself at 80 years old. Now you have lived a lifetime. What advice would you have for your younger self? What risks would you have taken? What relationships would you have avoided? Did you celebrate life? Did you allow yourself to feel, to be present? Your 80-year-old self would tell you to not live in fear, to have faith that things will work out, that all you have to do is persist until you succeed. Your 80-year-old self would tell you to stay healthy, to take care of your body. And it would ultimately tell you to share your gifts with the world.
And we're back with the Athletes United Experience on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. As we broke, we were talking about a million things. We got caught up. But you were making comparisons, and some of the athletes are now in tennis and kind of training and diversionary things they do that keeps them abreast.
It's the game. If you watch tennis nowadays, and the French Open's going on right now, you could go back and watch Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe hit, and those are my that was my day. Yeah. And now the ball's going it's like a pinball. It's like doing a video game. They're hitting it so hard back and forth, and they're sliding. I mean, it's really people that haven't appreciated tennis, and they talk about this. If you go watch it now, it's different. And you see guys sliding on hard courts. You're asking. It's interesting because Federer's the best one on grass, and Nadal was the best on clay, the champion. If he wins Sunday, in this, he just got to the finals. He beat Schwartzman. Maybe he'll play Djokovic. He will get 20 Grand Slam titles. But the ball bouncing up, they played a match one time where they did half clay and half grass. So the grass court champion, Federer, played on Nadal, and it's a famous thing, so they're playing a set. So he's hitting the grass and he's hitting the clay, and then they got to switch.
I see.
Because it's a different bounce. That would be an interesting match, huh?
What happened to the double backhand guys? What happened?
Okay, well, no, the double backhand, they're still around. Most people have the double backhand. This is something that's good. John Foster Tennis, this is what I do. I teach them all both. I could do both. I played with two. But the future of the game, and this is John Foster Tennis, it's a double, it's situational. So in other words, if I'm playing hard courts with you, you hit it hard at me, I'm going to grab the two hands and knock it back.
Sure.
And there's moves I can make with two hands hit harder than I can with one. On clay, just like in boxing, you can't backhand somebody. It's an illegal blow.
Right.
Well, in tennis, that one-hander can be a real devastating shot, even more than two, because you can just release it.
Yeah.
So if the ball has no pace like on clay and you can load it up and drive off the one-hander is more effective. Although if somebody was driving the ball at you, I would want to, you could go with two. So it's situational. So that's the question there. But most coaches nowadays and most academies around the world, they're teaching a two-hander unless a kid has a tendency to do one. But what I do I got 40 pounders that can hit. It's technique. It's not muscle. It's technique.
What would you cite as the innovations in training right now versus?
Wow. Well, just like basketball or anything, man, it's off the hook. They're doing this. They're the rope. They got this. There's so much keeping the body. Look what LeBron does to keep his body in shape. Well, Djokovic is doing the same thing. Besides the diet, he's a vegan.
Yeah.
So his diet, and I also did pro boxing. And with Mike McCallum, Evander Holyfield, I was with these guys, Lou Duva in '86 in town. And then I trained pro fighters for Angelo Dundee for a year, cornered a world title fight in Kiel, Germany. When you have a world title fighter, even when you have how you eat is so set up. It's everything's right. Where you sleep, how you go to bed. There's no women, the story. That's true. You can't fool around. I remember my coach one time, he lost a fighter one time he was up and coming and he had a fight. He had to win this fight because you got to set a fighter up right for the championship fight.
Sure.
And if he loses one along the way, it's tougher to get that main fight. Well, he got hit in the ring and he had a little extracurricular activity before he went in the ring, and your legs are weak. It's gone. So it's a bad. And then the guy hit him. He went down and he looked at him. He wasn't knocked out. It's just like, I can't move,
Boxing.
And he was so mad. Tommy was like Tommy Bennett.
Boxing very much like football.
Yeah.
And an 800-pound gorilla we need to touch on at least. And that's this super concussion kind of prospect. CTE, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about high school, Pee Wee League even.
Yeah. They are nowadays, everybody.
Yeah. We're going to get ready to wrap it up. But before we do that, guys, I'd like to know your pick. NBA Finals tonight. You got the Lakers and Miami Heat. So, Mel, who you got tonight? Lakers. Okay, who you got?
I'd like to see the Heat push it a little bit more just because I want to see more basketball, but everybody's going with the Lakers, and I got to agree, LeBron's not going to, Jimmy Butler by himself can't do it. They're too busted up, losing a few other players.
This should be a 4-2 series, but I'm afraid it's going to be a 4-1.
I'm gonna go with the Lakers as well. I hate to see that. I love to see a more competitive series. I love to see it go to 7, but I think LeBron is pretty focused. With that being said, you want to go ahead on and close us out?
Join us every Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. CST. This is the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters.
Indeed.
We're out and...